I would like to especially call out the new cases from last week. As you'll see, they're up. That is primarily because of the outbreaks that we've seen at Providence College and URI. So as you may know or have seen reported, last week we had a significant number of cases, increased cases at Providence College, and to a lesser extent at University of Rhode Island. Between those two schools alone, PC and URI, we saw approximately 190 new positive cases. 150 new positive cases at PC and 40 new positive cases at URI. Without those cases, our overall case numbers were stable, actually declining slightly last week. So it's important for you to know that, because if you were to take out PC and URI, we are stable to declining. Obviously, with 200 cases from two schools, that's a problem, and our cases are increased. And I'm going to talk about that further in a minute. With respect to the schools, I've been getting a lot of questions. Governor, what's going on at PC? Why is this happening? How bad is it? What's going on? So permit me for a minute, please, to explain what I think is going on. So at Providence College, as part of the school's regular surveillance testing, we identified a group of cases early last week. Last Monday, we identified a dozen cases out of 400 people tested that day. The next day, we tested another 400 people, and we found 17 positive cases. So we noticed at that time that many of the students who were testing positive were students living off campus, particularly in apartments on Eaton Street. You might be familiar with Eaton Street. Many of these homes are triple-deckers, rented to college students, and as college students do, the students were often getting together on their front lawns, in their backyard, on their porches, and this was confirmed by our case investigators, who found that many students were moving between houses, between floors in the house. But here's an important point. There was no big party. It wasn't as if there was one big party that led to this outbreak. People were in small groups, relatively small groups, but their groups were not consistent, and they weren't wearing masks, and they weren't practicing social distancing. The problem is they get together with one small group here, maybe go upstairs to the second floor, another small group, go to the front lawn, another small group, and before you know it, we have a full-fledged outbreak on our hands. This is an opportunity for me to remind you, please, it's not only keeping groups small and social gatherings to 15 or fewer. Please limit your social network. Try to keep it to the same 15 people or the same 20 people. I know people are getting back to work and going to school. I understand that. But try to limit your social groups, because in this instance, there was no big bash, but it was the kids going, 5 people, 15 people, 15 people, and we have a problem. After identifying the initial cluster of cases, the Department of Health, who handled this expertly, made a decision to immediately test all off-campus students, which was about 1,100 additional people. 67 of those tests came back positive, and regular testing of PC students has continued. I do want you to know we are taking action. A stay-at-home order was issued for all students. So all students on and off campus at PC have been directed to stay at home, stay-at-home order. Roughly 120 students have been set up in alternative housing locally to isolate and quarantine safely, and a mandatory testing program was put in place. I would say this is still an active outbreak. We're working it every day. It's an active outbreak. We're not out of the woods yet. We do, though, have a handle on it. Providence College has been cooperating with the Department of Health and is handling it appropriately, aggressively, and I'm grateful for that. But we're not out of the woods. We aren't out of the woods. We have to continue testing. And to the students at Providence College, I'm asking you to obey the stay-at-home order because this isn't right, what's happening. And it's not only that hundreds of kids have been infected, it's impacting the entire state. And I'm going to talk about that in a minute. So we're supporting PC. I'm asking the administration of PC to take this very seriously. And to the students at Providence College, please follow the rules. Please follow the rules. And I understand at PC there will be consequences for the students, even if you're living off campus, if you don't follow the rules. At URI, there were 3 Greek houses in which we saw a total of 6 cases last week. Through rigorous testing, we also identified several groupings of cases among other student houses for a total of about 40 cases last week. Similar to the situation at Providence College, we did not trace the cases back to a single big party, but rather to smaller interactions in which people report that they weren't maintaining social distancing, sharing drinks, eating out of the same plates, not wearing masks, not being diligent, and we have an outbreak. Because the URI cases have been more isolated than at Providence College, where we've had a cluster of cases, we have not needed the same campus-wide mitigation measures, such as the stay-at-home order. But we're still responding very aggressively, and the team at URI has been excellent in their the seriousness and aggressiveness with which they have reacted to this, and I want to thank URI for that. Just so you know, if someone tests positive, they're immediately put into isolation housing right away, and their entire group of contacts is immediately tested and quarantined. We are urging these students not to go home. We are urging these students, please don't go home to another state. I know it's hard to be here sick. I know parents would like to come get the students and bring them home, but we're asking, that just spreads the virus, and if every state and every college did that, we'd have nationwide outbreaks. So we are, I guess for the people of Rhode Island who are very concerned about this, we have a good system. We're testing, in the case of PC, everybody. We've set up isolation rooms and quarantining rooms, and our contact tracers are all over this. I'm sharing this for a couple of reasons. One, as I said, I'm getting a lot of questions about it, and I want the people of Rhode Island and maybe parents of students at PC or URI to feel reassured that we're all over this. We're on top of it. We have the situation under control. We've set up extra housing. We're having food delivery to that housing. We're doing contact tracing. We're doing massive testing. We know how to handle this. It's unfortunate that it happened, and I think it was avoidable, but it did, and we will handle it, and we will get it under control. The other reason that I'm sharing this is let it be a reminder to all of us the consequences of letting our guard down and not following the rules. These are college students doing what college students do, which is going back to campus and having parties and hanging out with their friends. And normally, that's okay, except not this year. Behavior like that this year endangers other people's lives, and it's incredibly selfish. So for all of us who are getting sick of wearing our masks and wish we could have a party and wish we could go back to life as normal, we got to hang in there, because the minute we let our guard down, the minute we get lazy or lax, people get sick and bad things happen.